Hey everyone, today I worked on this slanted cipher problem and I really liked it. I actually got really close with my initial idea. My main logic was mostly correct, but my implementation was a little bit off, so I had to go back and fix a few things and refine it. Let's go through how I approach it. I'll be attaching it right now. Everyone, let's start another problem today. Let's see what we have. Oh, let me put my headphones first. 1 second. I don't want no background noise. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, let's log in. LeetCode. Yeah, streaks back to 0. Yeah, yesterday's problem kind of hard. Okay, let's see what this looks. A string. A string is encoded using a slanted cipher with the help of a matrix having a fixed number of rows. Original text is placed first in the top left. Sorry. A string is encoded using a cipher to a string encoded text with the help of a matrix having a fixed number of rows. So number of rows are fixed, okay. The original string is placed in a top left to bottom right manner. So okay, each cells are filled. The blue cells are filled first, followed by the red cells, then yellow cells, and so on until we reach the end of original text. The arrow indicates the order in which the cells are filled. All empty cells are filled with space. The number of columns is chosen such that the rightmost column will not be empty after filling in the original text. Encoded text is formed by appending all the characters of matrix in a row wide fashion. The characters in the blue cells are appended first to the encoded text in the red cells, so on, and finally the yellow cells. The arrow indicates the order in which the cells are accessed. For example, if original text was cipher and number of rows are 3, then we encode it in the following way: C, I, P, H, E, and R. Okay, blue arrow depicts how original text is placed in the matrix, and red arrow denotes the order in which the encoded text is found. The above example, encoded text equals to CH, IE, and PR. Given the encoded string and the number of rows, return the original string, original text. So it's like reverse engineering this whole concept. Original text does not have any trading spaces. The test case generally says that there is only one possible original text. For example, we have CH, IEPR, number of rows are 3. Let me look at example 2. Encoded text is IVEO, EDLDEOLC, number of rows are 4. Output, I love, LeetCode. And what's the constraint for columns here? There was a constraint. The number of column is such that the rightmost column will not be empty. What does that mean? Okay, what kind of concepts are we using here? Let's think. Let me split the screens. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's see. String original text is encoded, so like in a matrix. Oh, okay. So what are we given? We are given strings and rows, right? That's all you're given. So let's say if we have a string, for example, let's take this example. I love LeetCode. We have I V E O, then we have I don't know, maybe four spaces, E E D space L space D E space O L C, right? And the number of rows are 3. Row equals to 3 or 4, sorry. Number of rows are 4. Okay. Blue cells are filled first. So the way, so for the first, like if a number of rows are given, right, the first sentence would be at starting at 0 0. That's first sentence would be at right at the diagonal of row 3, right? Number of rows are 4. For example, let's take this example here. Rows are 3 1. Okay, input. How are rows equal to 3 when there's 1 2 3 4 rows? I don't get it. Fixed number of rows. Okay, here the rows are 3, for example, and rows are 3, we encode it in the following manner. Here 1 2, there's 4 rows, I don't get it. Okay, let me read it again. A string is encoded using a cipher, a slanted cipher to a string. Original encoded test with the help of having a fixed number of rows. Original text is placed first in the top left to the bottom right manner. Blue cells are filled following by the red cells, then yellows. So for each okay, for example, we go through the diagonal. If we find a space, we attach it. See, I love. So condition should be, so each diagonal is what? Let me minimize this a little bit. So if it's 0, so if we start at 0 0, right, then we go to 1 1 2 2 and so forth, but that's like the first few letters, and the next time I becomes 1 or J becomes 1, right, 0 1 1 2 2 3. So as long as our row number is less is less than or no, 1 3, let's say 1 3 0 3 0, oh, sorry, 1 3. Okay, so the way we have to loop is we never want to access any case where our row is greater than our column number. This should never happen. This will always have the empty string, right? So while let's loop through our so we're given the encoded text, right? Encoded text is IVEO. How do we how IVEO IVEO spaces. Do we create a matrix first, right? And then each space, but how would I know? Or do we build it from the bottom? 2 3 4 5 figure. Okay, let's think again. Coded using a cipher. So original text equals to what? Encoded text is encoded using a so transposition cipher means like where the position of the string is different, right? It's not like we are adding some value with the help of a matrix having a fixed number of rows. Let me reset this. Okay, I'll restart it. String is encoded using a cipher tool with the help of a matrix. So the following by the red cells and yellow cells and so on until we reach the end of the original text. Each arrow indicates the order in which this will happen. Is chosen such that the rightmost. I think this line is. I'm having some issues. Number of columns is chosen such that the rightmost column. What is the rightmost column? Will not be empty. So this is rightmost column, but isn't this rightmost column empty here? Then encoded text is then formed by appending. We are appending all the characters in a row-wise fashion. So appending all the characters. So we take each row and append it, right? So let's assume we have one row. So we have a row 1, right, of characters IVEO space. Row 2 we have space E. For this example, why is L not here? Oh, because I need a space, right? So rows are 4. Rows are 4. Number of rows are 4, so what are we doing? If the number of rows are given, we see an encoded text is given. And it's given as a string, right? It's passed down as a string. Yeah, and so whatever the character. So before we encounter a space, each row is given, I don't know, constraint encoded text. How can use rows? That's what I'm thinking too. How can we find the number of columns with encoded text? Is the number of columns equal to the number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. One, two, three. Plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 row. Because there's 4 different substrate. I have 4 different letters in the full strings. That means I have 4 rows, and number of columns should be rows length of the last letter is 3. OLC is 3. Once you have the number of rows, can you create the matrix in place? See, how am I getting the number of columns? Let me try to do it with, not with my pen and paper. Let me grab that, because I think this Excel draw is kind of hard for me to. Give me 1 second, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna close this and use pen and paper. See, the main goal right now is, find the number of columns, right? How can we find the number of columns? Number of columns. So if I'm given the string IVEO, then some spaces, because we don't know how many spaces, right? IEED, then I have LTE, OLC. right? And row equals to 4. What can I do? So each space denotes the start of the next row, right? So that means I have, at least I know the last, shouldn't it be like the last element, like OLC is always in the last row, right? That would mean it's in row 4 by 4, right? Plus the length of OLC, that is 3 characters. I know, I see. So what I mean by that is excalibur row. If we know OLC is the last thing in our last row, and O starts at 4 by 4, 4, 5, and 6. So C is at 4 comma 6. So number of rows should be 6, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that seems correct. Okay, so we figured out, what about this example? We know row is 1, so and 1 plus number length of coding, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So am I adding it, or am I, so it's 4 plus 3 minus 1, right? That's the formula. So row number plus, so number of columns is, columns equals to row plus the length of the last what do I call this part, like what do I call this OLC, like the last string or substring before spaces, right? And this minus 1. And now, well, that's a formula for columns, but now I have to find out how do I extract the length of the last string. So one thing, what if I do, well, how do I traverse the string? Well, in Python we could always use a split function, right? You use a string.split, and then it splits into a list of things. But in Java, how will I find out? So do I traverse the characters? One thing I can do is but I think there has to be an easier way. But for now, what I can do is to find the length of last few characters. What we do, we keep a count variable. Like, okay, let me do this here. So this is what I'm thinking, but I'm pretty sure there should be an easier way. We keep a count variable, but while traversing, if we find space, we reset the count to 0 and return the count at the end. Okay, let's try to get this first. Let me have an integer called last count, initialize it to 0. Now we are given the string integer n equals to string.len encoded text dot lang length. right? So this will give us the full length of the string for I equals to 0. I must be less than n and I plus plus. What do we have to do? We have to check if encoded text dot char at I, if the character equal to spacebar, we do what? We set the count equals to 0, right? Else count plus plus, right? And then we have the count, right? Here is this, oh sorry, not count, it should be last count. I need to do better with naming these variables. I think last count, if someone else saw it, they wouldn't know what it means. Oh, we'll ask some help from AI. How could I name it better? But for now, this seems correct, right? So is there a case, what if the length was 0? Then this loop would never work, right? But length, given the constraint, is greater than equal to 0. So do I have a safe here? Okay, for now I don't want to miss out what I've thought so far. Okay, so an integer row number of number of columns equal to, we are given equals to rows plus last count minus 1. Okay, now we have our, so once we have our row and number of rows equals to 4 and column are what? 4 plus 3 7 minus 1 6. Now if I loop through this for rows and columns for loop, let's build a matrix, right? If I build a matrix for I equals to 0, j equals to 0, what happens? But then here's another scenario. So let's say if I loop, for this, can I make this big? No. So for example, this right now I have rows and columns. Okay, so this is correct. Okay, I'm gonna remove this. Let me close this down. 1 second. I should be 1 second. Okay, so right now, what do I have? I have rows and columns, right? Now I want to build the matrix. How do we build the matrix? So we have rows and columns. So for each, first this will go, all of this will go into a column, and then this will go into the next row. It will automatically take it, I think. So somehow, let's say I built the matrix by using, okay, let's try to build the matrix. Rows are given, right? Number of rows are given, right? So we have example 4 rows, 1 2 3 4. Okay, so for loop for, but at the end I want to return for integer I equals to 0, I must be less than rows. Number of rows are 4, so 0 1, yeah, that's correct. I plus plus. And for integer j equals to 0, j must be less than our number of columns, j plus plus. Okay, now what do I want to do? So let me build a I forgot about the matrix. So let me have matrix, string matrix, or yeah, string matrix called answer, string or character, or does that even matter? Okay, so this is the basic concept which I need to think before even proceeding. If I have an integer matrix, that means each cell value should be an integer, but here it's a character. So I have a character matrix with row and column. Name it, what do I name? See, here is another thing I always stuck at naming it something meaningful. What do I name it? Character called for now that's equal to new character array of rows and columns are calls, right? So for it I and j, what do we do? Test bracket I comma test I and j equals to encoded text bracket. So I also have length of encoded text. Well, instead of taking the full thing, do I not just take the whole row? For a row in test, like I'm taking the full row, and for teacher I equals to 0, I must be less than number of columns, right? Number of columns, bracket I plus plus. So what I'm doing is, so right now, oh sorry, I haven't built the matrix. No, I am building the matrix by grabbing an empty row, right? Empty row, and we will add, since we have the number of columns, so for each column, let's say I have these many columns, I want to go through our string, whatever is given is equal to this number, right? So let's say I have 1 2 3 4 5 columns, and that string is, let's say, 12. So first 5 will go here, right? So I will do something like for int I is equal to 0 and with the number of columns char what am I doing here? For we have So for like, do we not have to define an array? For a char array, I'm gonna call it row in test, right? That means this is the type. I have an array. So row bracket I equals to encoded text equals to encoded text and dot char at I. But the another scenario is, so for the first row we go through all 5 columns and we fill this correctly, right? But we need for the next row, we want to restart at the same position. Let me have integer position equals to, let's start at 0, right? And here for row I, char at position for integer 0, right? And then here our position at the end of the loop plus equals to I, right? So let's say there were 5 columns at the end of the first row, so we are at 5th position. Now when our next row starts, right, so our next row, the first letter will go over here, right? So this will, I think this should be correct. So let me think again. Let me see here. So what I have right now is bunch of rows. Okay, row 1, row 2. Just keep 2 rows for now, for simplicity. And I have a string. Let's I have what? It's something A E V I O 1 2 3 spaces and B and C. And we need have the number of columns, right? 1 2 3. Let's say for now, and position, so I is here, position is here, right? Both the variables start at 0. Okay, so we are at right here, so we grab the first, so we have the first, oh, I shouldn't do this. Okay, so we have the first row. Okay, and then when we loop, so row bracket 0 gets the character at position 0, E goes here, we loop for 1 2 3 4 columns, right? We loop by columns, number of columns 4. So first 4 will go here, E V I O, and end of the first position is right here. So position plus equals to I. Position is 1 4. But then for the next row, won't this for the next row, okay, so 1 second, if number of rows are 4, so when we are at 4, for row bracket 4, 0 1 2 3, right? So row 3 equals to position at 3, Now for the second row, so 0, 1, 2, 3, that's correct. Fourth position will go here. Right, space will go here. No, this is correct. This is correct. So what's happening here is the first four letters are going, but we don't think of it as 4 because we start as index 0, right? So first 4 will go at this. The index is 3 here, right, for this, and the space goes down here. So I think position is equals to I, right? Position plus equals to I. So 5. Or should I just do position plus plus? Position equals to position plus position plus plus, right? Because if I do position plus I, if position was 4 and then I becomes 3, and we want to go to 5, not 7. We don't want to jump. Okay. I think this will build our number of now here, what are we doing here? Building the matrix, I think. Okay, so I've built the matrix, I think, correctly. Now once the matrix is built, what are we looping? We have to return a string, right? So should we declare a string builder? I forgot about string builder. String builder methods. String builder methods in Java. Okay. That's the representation. Into us, or we could add it all to the array and return the toString. Right, so let me have an array of characters. Okay, let's have should I have an array or should I build a string? What's better? If I have an array and in the array I will have I, L, O, V, E, space and everything. Yeah, I think array would be easier, but I will definitely look into string builder as well. So let me have a character array called answer, which should be equals to character array of size what? New character array of size n, right? The number of one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be n because we're not counting these extra spaces. It should be equals to maybe have an array list instead of list called list of type char answer equals to new array list, right? Because I don't know the exact number of size. Now what are we doing? We have built our matrix. Now we loop through the matrix again for row equals to 0, must be less than number of rows, r plus plus, and for column equals to 0, column must be less than number of columns that I've defined earlier, column plus plus. What are we doing? While our row is less than equal to columns, so what do we want to do? We want to do so what's the first thing? But while row equals to column, how do we rebuild the matrix now? I somehow have no, this is not correct here. Now let's think about this a little bit. See, I have this, I somehow made this. How do we loop to get it all together? So while row is equal to column number, and column, so first loop should always be how should the loop be? Loop should be something like so we start at 0 0, then we go to space, right? So we start at 0 0. Where is so we start at 0 0 here, then we have to go to 1 1 2 2 3 3. That's the base. So we add an I space LO to our array list, and then the next loop should begin at while so should we do we go by, instead of going by rows, like if we do columns first, if we do something like for integer column equals to 0, column must be less than number of columns, and we do column plus plus, we do for integer row equals to 0, row must be less than rows, and row plus plus, right? We check while, so what's here? So first is column 0 row 0, column 0 row 1 is nothing, column 0, sorry, 0 comma 0 is here, 0 comma 1 is the, oh man, why am I thinking so badly? See, for column equals to 0, so we are going by columns, and row is 0, we are in 0 comma 0 index, right? So the second loop would be column stays 0 but we are in row 2. So that while our column is less than equal to row number, right? So once the first loop will happen at 0 0, so we are at I, and then the second is when column is 1 and row is 0. What do we do? 0 0, column is greater than equal to row, not less than. We want to add to our list it is answer dot array list is append, or do we, one second, array list methods in Java, keep forgetting, do we do append or dot add? Dot add, okay, it should be, what does dot add do? Add add index I, set index I, add all. How to add okay, let me ask, I have a character array list and I am traversing a matrix of chars, and while traversing I want to add it to my list in same order. So you want to traverse a matrix and store the characters in the same order you visit them. This goes add doesn't add dot add does it not add at the end of the list. Okay, so we are correct. We should be doing dot add. So it should be character answer dot dot add. What am I adding? I'm adding the whatever is that matrix test bracket row and column, right? So 0 0 I added 1, column 2 I have row what 2 2, so I will add the space. I think this is correct, and then we return answer dot toString. And let me confirm, to convert to return the array list as a string including spaces, do I just do array list dot toString? Brackets the correct way is okay. String builder. So we could just used string builder and not an array list to make the string from the matrix. Okay, so I think I learned this, so we're not using, don't want to use this, we want to use a string builder, right? A string builder sp equals to new string builder. Is that how it's defined? Oh no. String builder equals to new string builder, right? Let me name it as answer. sp. Okay, so and here we are doing sp dot append, right? sp dot append whatever is that row and column, string answer equals to sp dot toString, and then we return the answer, right? Return answer. Let's see, where have we made some errors? Okay. Oh, I didn't. Okay, where is this? Line 10. Integer I equals to 0. Let's see what else. It's the same. Okay, let's try again. Return variable symbol class cannot find ans. Maximum limit latest. What does memory limit exceeded? Okay, let's. What does this mean? Did I think I was correct to the most extent, but let's see where we've made it. Okay, I haven't checked the last hint. Okay, does he? Does we? Does he? This is what I came up with. So, wrong way to compute right. The matrix built is. How does this not work? Match. So we made some errors. Original text is read diagonally. So, like but can the sorry like for the first error, number of columns, can we not just check the length of last characters in the string before we get spaces? And add the rows. Thinking if the count of the last non-space character into something like assumes when this fails matrix is filled row wise. So the shape column. For example, there are 4 spaces in the middle and some spaces are just padding and not meaningful structure. Counting trailing non-spaces does date property or ignoring property here. Encoded text was so this is always because every cell is included. Oh right, yeah, I should have thought about this. Like even these spaces are included, right? So this is where I did wrong. So I didn't need. So this thing is not needed, right? So in what was it? What was it defining? I was defining the number of columns, right? Number of columns. Integer number of columns equals to encoded text divided by rows. Okay, there I got correct. So the first space case should be, yeah, if, that's what I was thinking initially, if rows equal to 1, return If rows equals to 1, we return encoded text, right? Then what else error? What errors did I make? Window fault as right screen, and I have this as left screen. Okay, so I have encoded text. Character array, yeah, instead of, well, new. Okay, teacher number of columns. Teacher. Okay, help me fix this. Fix it, but try to keep same names. Okay, so I don't need the last count no more because that was for that thing, right? Integer n equals to, that is correct. String builder I have. Now we build the matrix. Integer position equals to 0. Char at position plus plus. Isn't that gonna, so I have to ask this. Position equals to 0. Okay, building the matrix integer. Position equals to 0. Okay. So if I do row I and encoded text dot char at position plus plus, that means position plus plus, but isn't plus plus? Okay, that's for the next operator. 0. For the next one, it will be 1. Column equals to 0. Column plus plus. So what are we doing here? This loop was wrong. Okay, so what did we have here? Teacher row equals to 0. Teacher column equals to C. While R is less than rows and column is less than number of columns. sp dot append bracket row and column. So what's happening here is for the first loop and then r plus plus and column plus plus. So let me think here what's happening here. So for column 0, right, our row is 0, so we go to 0 is less than 4 and column is less than whatever number, that's correct. So we append 0 0, row becomes 1, column becomes 1. So for column 1, so we then append 1 1 2 2 3 3, right? So we got this, but what about the other values? Column. Okay, I need help with understanding. So C Windows V, from what I understood, this will traverse the diagonal 0 0 1 1 2 2 3 3, but what about the rest? Column 0. Okay. Oh, I see, because I'm doing columns. Got it, got it, got it. So remove trailing spaces. So Windows C, at this point give me an example of how the string looks like in our SP variable. So let's see, encoder text is this. Now when your for loop runs, gr, okay, so final before trimming. So what happens is, so when your loop runs, we have CIP, HER, CIP, HER, and then this and this. 2 spaces, okay. Yeah, those spaces will be added. Okay, so okay, the spaces are added, which, okay, now understood. And removing the length, teacher end, while end is okay. So see, explain this. So our line 1, step by step execution, okay, end is equals to the length minus 1. Wait, length fine. So integer equals to end is 8. Okay, prior pointing to the last character. While loop while end is greater than 0, where 8 is greater than sp dot char at 8 equals to this. We remove end equals to 7 equals to 5. The space loop stops here. Okay. So the way we are doing is okay. Don't mind the beeping in the back. I think there's a truck in the back. We have integer and equals to sp dot length minus 1. Okay, while our end is greater than equal to 0, and the character at sp dot char at the last location is equal to character this. We do end minus minus, and then we return sp dot substring of 0 comma end plus 1. Why do we do plus 1? Why do we return substring of end plus 1? Oh, because it excludes the last. Okay, got it. Okay. Legal part of the expression 2, and what is wrong here? Oh yeah, because I didn't mention the test. Didn't actually mention that matrix. Oof, this was a nice one, I think. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tonight I'm thinking of learning what was the topic? Yeah, keep forgetting it, bro. It's called threads, and a little bit of try to learn some how to use lambda functions with them. All right, see you guys again.